Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.
And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the Pop Culture Cosmos. Lakers Fast Break, Lakers latest, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. Truly appreciate everyone out there checking us out each and every time out right here. And make sure you give us that 5-star review whenever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure you want to go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube. That way you'll get the latest notifications on when we come up with the latest PC Multiverse, Pop Culture Cosmos, State of Pro Wrestling, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, or anything that we bring to you right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without a good friend indeed. He is back with us, although you might have not missed him because we had so many episodes in the can. and now that can is, hold on. Oh, it's empty now. But it is, of course, my good friend. Indeed, it is, of course, the great one himself. I rarely get to see him as well. Now that you can, it is, of course, TJ Johnson. TJ, great to have you here, my friend.
What's up, G? How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I got a little story for you, okay? Because you have your major employer,
okay,
that you deal with. I deal with two quite a bit on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and a lot of my income goes to them, which indirectly goes to you. And they have a membership. I'll just leave it at that. And so this company with a membership plan and whatnot, you go in there, you check in, so you can go ahead and buy various things. And I had just recently said, okay, I'm going to switch over because we're not flying anywhere anytime soon, because we're just not going to go on probably too many elaborate vacations because of gas prices and things like that. Just reality is life. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to your heavily sponsored credit card. So there you go. Might as well just say TJ Johnson on the credit card. There you go. But anyways, okay. So we take it. Plus, it also has the membership. You're a member, and then the information on it as well. It's a dual thing. Not only works as an automatic membership renewal, it works as a credit card as well. We can buy things and all that stuff, and also get the percentage back from Costco. Oh, did I say that? But anyways, speaking of that, so I go up there to pay for it with my newly found card, and they said, "Sir, we can't take this." Huh? Why can't you take this? This is your card. This is for you. It's you. Go see membership services. Didn't elaborate as to why. They just said go see membership services. So we go there, my wife and I. It's in her name and her picture. And we go there and say, why can't you? I don't know why. Let me see. So they go ahead and they scan it in on their own end. And they have their tablet there in membership service, and they're looking at it. Oh, I get why. The membership number is right. The picture is obviously my wife. The name is obviously my wife. But the barcode, when you scan it, actually comes up someone named Ashley Birch, who's about 50 years older than my wife. So yes, there you go. So, yeah. So, yes, now I go running around the house and I say, Ashley, what's going on?
Ashley.
Yes.
Ashley.
My wife.
My Leon impersonation.
Yes, I'll be divorced here within probably the hour at this point rate. So yeah, absolutely indeed. But great to have you here. It is the PC Multiverse. Got about 3 topics for you guys today. Just 3 heavy topics, and one is going to be a WrestleMania preview, which I'm going to go to on the first night. I finally bit the bullet. I found a discount even better than what was advertised on television, so I'll just say that. But I go ahead.
Thanks, CM Punk.
Yeah, exactly. CM. Oh, that was not CM Punk. That was totally. That was totally. him getting the go ahead to go ahead and say stuff like that. So yes, even
Of
though it's been
course.
under the auspices a long time, it's TKO wanting to fill up the stadium for both nights. Let's just be honest right there. So again, we'll preview WrestleMania on the back end. We'll also talk about the future of the console industry. I want to talk to TJ about that right now, where we're at as far as the falling sales. What does this mean? The RAM prices going all over the place. Steam machine being delayed. What's the deal with the new Xbox? So we'll go ahead and talk about the industry and what kind of health does it have right now. But first, my friend, a new Disney CEO was named recently. We haven't touched on this much on the show at all, on either show. So I wanted to ask you this, my friend, because Bob Iger finally stepped away again. But hopefully, this is the last.
Hopefully for good this time. Yeah.
Hopefully the last. But Josh Tomorrow is the new CEO. He's got the keys to the Magic Kingdom, my friend. Something you and I would love that opportunity to do. So, I mean, people told me all the time, oh, you should run the Lakers, run the Lakers. I would love to run the Lakers, but running Disney would be so cool. But with that, be that as it may, Josh Tomorrow is the new Disney CEO. So with that, my friend, what if Bob Iger retires, says his goodbyes, and says, I gotta go, I got a jet, and hands the keys over to Trumaine Johnson? I want to hear that. Officially, because they're not going to call you. They're not going to say TJ Johnson in your initials. They're going to go ahead and make sure they say the whole name out there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because that's the way they do it on the PR presses. But
right.
That press releases, my friend, what would they do as far as that's concerned with you now as Disney CEO? What would you do to redesign the Disney empire in your image?
That's a very, very nuanced question, G. That's a very, I wasn't prepared for that one. You got me.
Well, I told you this is the topic a week ago.
Yeah, but that was a week ago, Gerald. There's a whole lot that's changed.
I know, that's true. I forget what I'll probably forget what I'm saying here in an hour. So,
all right. So, if I were the CEO of Disney, I think I would have to try to reestablish what our brand is, and really kind of come to terms, because we're in this weird period where everybody wants to be politically correct, everybody wants to be PG, everybody wants to be accessible to everyone, and you want to keep it as open as you possibly can. And I like the openness. I do. I think at some point, though, you start to lose a little bit of your identity when you start trying to focus on everybody and stop trying to stay true to who you are. I feel like a lot of companies are doing that. I feel like a lot of companies are going that direction. And so I think that in doing that, I think you'd have to make sure that you maintain, 3 core principles. You want to tell fun, imaginative stories that you can give to all ages, right? You want to tell stories that are for kids. You want to tell stories that are for, adults, and you want to tell stories that some of your older generations will still enjoy. And I think it's okay to have sections for all of the above, And I think that obviously Disney and if I'm using an example of Marvel, for instance, Marvel is kind of becoming a little bit not edgy, right? I don't want to say edgy, but they're allowing Marvel's comics and Marvel properties to be a bit more mature. And I think that that's a very, very good thing because, we have to remember that these comics are things that you and I have grown up on. And we are obviously mature. I am graying as we speak. And, so we're obviously a little bit more mature. And in being more mature, we have a particular taste, and we have particular, interest. So I say all that to say, I think I'd be very clear as to trying to establish what our direction is. The same thing I would do if I was the Xbox CEO. I'd be very, very big on making sure that our direction is given. Like we have a very firm direction. This is what we want to do. This is who we are. These are the kind of stories that we want to tell. These are the experiences that we want you to be able to have and enjoy. So I think that'd be number one. Number two is giving certain properties a chance to breathe. I'm looking at Star Wars. I'm looking at even certain Marvel properties and certain Marvel things. And I understand that you want to keep pulling in the big bucks and pulling in the big bucks. But I truly do believe in quality over quantity. And while that may suck for people that are just looking for more content all the time, I really do feel like unless you have a story worth telling, it doesn't make sense to just talk. I don't like to talk just for the sake of talking. So if we're going to tell a story, let's tell a story that means something and that makes sense. So I would get back to kind of looking at some properties and turning it down a notch, and maybe looking at some other properties and turning it up, depending upon what the particular heartbeat of the industry is at that particular time. So that's number two. And I think number three is being a little bit more family orientated. And what I mean by that is, you're starting to price out a lot of the average consumers. You went from having a basic tier package and then, a higher tier package. And they weren't that far off in price. And now, I think the price has gone up to almost $24 per account or something in the early to mid 20s as far as how much it costs to be a member. And, at this point, the amount of money that Disney has made is staggering. And I understand that they have to continue to reward their shareholders and to continue to reward the people that have invested heavily into Disney. And I'm for that. But again, if we're speaking about getting back to the core of who we are, Disney built this back on telling stories and being family orientated. And you can't continue to be family orientated when you're continuously pricing out the families that would enjoy your content. Very similar to what WWE is doing, very similar to what Netflix is doing, very similar to what all these other streaming platforms and companies are doing. So I think that would be something I focus on as well, is trying to find a way to get the cost back down, because right now it costs you're starting to price people out. If I didn't have young kids who really, really enjoyed their Disney content on a consistent basis, I wouldn't have a Disney Plus subscription. And you and I know we're some of the biggest Marvel fans, DC, I'm sorry, not Marvel, Marvel fans and Star Wars fans that there are out there. You and I both love Tron to death. So that would hurt me to even say that. But the truth is, because I have such young kids, and it's worth it for them. But if it wasn't for them, absolutely not. I'd be priced out. Be priced out a long time ago. So that's what I would do. If I was CEO of Disney, I would focus on getting back to telling the right stories, making sure that we don't price out our consumer, and that we allow properties a chance to truly breathe as necessary, and be willing to be flexible and malleable in those regards.
That was well said. See, for someone who said he wasn't prepared on this, you certainly sound like you had a prepared statement.
No, I definitely was not prepared. But I mean, I think it makes sense.
I sure believe that.
We just gotta get back to being who we say we are, and again, I'm saying we as if I am Disney, but if I'm Disney and I want to get back
you
to
already sounded like
family,
that. I'll call Josh tomorrow right now. Say, okay, your seat is,
like,
keep your seat warm for somebody else. TJ's coming
let's just get back to being who we say we are, and telling the stories that we need to tell, and giving back, because they've gotten so much out of us. They've gotten so much out of us. So much out of us. At some point, you got to be able to say, okay, let's give something back, because in a world of take, it'd be really nice to give something back now and then. So
I will say this, well said. I would top only some small things onto what TJ said. In fact, I've talked with Josh at length. If I became the CEO, or he became the CEO, or head of this or head of that, I would say you just need to focus on making sure Marvel and Star Wars and some of your major IP are going to still have that appeal and target those younger audiences, because as the audiences themselves age out, you need to make sure you have the other ones lined up, hooked on to what you are doing, so you can keep that money train flowing in an economic form as far as it's concerned. I will say that those stories, especially in the Star Wars universe, create new stories in a new universe that they can call their own, to go ahead and be able to develop that. And I'm hoping that one day they'll finally get it, as far as that's concerned. With Marvel, again, you get back to what worked. get back to
Yes.
what work as far as telling an overarching narrative that will hopefully be able to bring in audiences of all ages. Absolutely, the affordability has got to be a priority. I agree with you on that. Making things affordable for everyone again should be paramount. It should not be, well, that's nice, but the rich kids can do that. If I'm a little kid and what right now, I can't. That's not fair. That's not fair to them. Make it. Disney has always been approachable to every consumer, and to not do that now is just a shame and a crime. Again, you call it the happiest place on earth for a reason. Well, keep it the happiest place on earth and not the most expensive place on earth. And how about
Right.
that?
Right.
um I will say this though, I'd add some little caveats on it. If I became CEO, I'd figure out what the hell's going on with Hulk. I'm not a huge Hulk fan, but I know what he does. I know, and Mark Ruffalo has made the character very enjoyable. What the hell's going on with the Universal deal? Yeah, I find out. Okay,
Yeah.
is it done? Is it not done? Is it okay? Let's get it done. Let's make it done. Let's go to Universal. How much money do you need? Can I just slap this cash on your desk and say, you know what? Let's move on, because you're obviously not making a movie anytime soon with Hulk. We're not letting you, or you're not letting us, or whatnot. This deal where it's like
Mhm.
he can co-star, but he can't star in a movie. It's just ridiculous at this point. It just serves no one. So just let's move on from all this. It's just garbage. And I understand Sony is not going to do that with all of its characters, and especially Spider-Man as far as that's concerned. You're not going to get the same deal because Sony makes too much money from it. Sony's actually doing something with the properties that it bought from Marvel when it was struggling in the 90s. I get it. I understand that. So I know that conversation with Sony, it has to be a lot different when Universal. But when it comes to Kingpin and Spider-Man, uh, Vincent D'Onofrio has been on the record saying,
Yes.
I want
Yeah.
to punch Spider-Man. I want to punch Tom Holland. I want to reignite that.
He's got
It,
such a
it,
punchable face.
it's worked so well in the Spider-Verse movies
Yes.
as far
Yeah.
as that dynamic. And D'Onofrio has done a sensational role as Kingpin in live action TV, as we're seeing now in Daredevil season 2, Born Again season 2. So work something out with that. Get that done, get that straightened out. Even if Sony still, okay, that situation is never going to relieve itself for our foreseeable future as far as Sony still producing Marvel movies, fine. But let's get this deal done where Kingpin becomes truly part of the Spider-Verse once again. And that's one thing I would go. These little things like that. And then
Yeah.
last but not least, the Hollywood Reporter put out a major story this past week about Pixar. I have a good friend that works at Pixar. He could talk to me about this while it was happening, which is
Mm,
very
that's
sad
telling.
that you can't
Yeah.
elaborate on it, because it was something that was very dear to him. It was very dear to very dear to all the employees at Pixar, whether they were working on it or not. I don't know if he was working on it. I don't know if he wasn't working on it, but again, he could not say anything about this
Mm.
when it was rumored, and that was a rumored uh, production. Actually, was a legit production. It was Fry was the movie. It was going to be BEFRI. It was two words, but you put it together as Fry. It was a coming of age movie between two teenage girls who were best friends, who split apart, but who were drawn back together when their Sailor Moon TV like show actually comes to life and actually is alive. They realize that it actually is a world and a universe that they were just watching on TV actually does come to life, and so they're thrust back together, and the relationship has to work out in order for them to save or what's going on, be a part of what's going on in this Sailor Moon TV like universe. And I thought it was a great concept, and that's great
Mm.
when I read it. And I thought, man, this would have been pretty good comparative to some of the stuff that we've seen from Pixar as far as their original stories are concerned. And they scrapped it in late 2023 because the inference was, no specific direct quotes, but the inference was, they said that the higher ups said that they can't have a girl power movie. Was the quote that was used in the story. They didn't say who said that or if it was specifically said that, but that was the inference that they were making because they were getting already some blowback, I guess, for some LGBTQ plus things that they had in Lightyear, and something that they've scrapped in another movie or whatnot. So they were getting some blowback from that. So they decided to squash Beef Fry as a movie. Well, I mean, with Turning Red doing a sensational numbers at the time of COVID, and
Mhm.
Inside Out being about a female as far as from her perspective and whatnot. I just found it really sad to see that they would squash a movie like this. And lo and behold, years later, a movie about girl power dominates the universe for almost a year now in K-pop Demon Hunters. So the moral is, if you've got a really good story, whatever background it is, you might want to keep on pursuing it. And if I have something like that which could potentially reach a younger audience,
Mhm.
especially young women, because you're always making stuff for men, women like that need just a substantial amount of stuff too as well to look at and aspire to and things like that. That would I think is something I would have reignited and brought back in life, because again, K-pop Demon Hunter shows that girl power really does work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and we already know that the world that we live in, and we know the social economic climate that we're in, the political climate that we're in. So while we don't need to necessarily touch upon that, I think it's important to reference the fact that everyone is just a little bit more, I want to say sensitive. I don't know if sensitive is the right word. And I don't want to make anybody feel, overly sensitive, but I feel like the world in general is just a little bit quick to want to, th- a little sensitive. I guess there really is no other way to say it. And then they're also very, I think the world is very, very concerned with this whole idea of cancel culture, right? And this whole idea of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing and completely alienating one side versus completely alienating another side for doing the exact opposite. And in doing so, they're concerned about being essentially canceled. So this whole idea of cancel culture has really reshaped the way companies work, the way production studios work, the way the world works in regards to wanting to be very, very tight-lipped and very, very PG and very, very holding the line and not straying left or right on certain particular issues because they don't want to alienate themselves one way or the other. And while I'm not here to say they should or shouldn't, what I am here to say is that it's very important that at some point you have to be willing to fall on your sword. You can say what you want about J.K. Rowling. You can say whatever you want. You can feel whatever you feel. But what we can't do is say that she is not one to stick by her guns. Rather, those guns are right, or rather, those guns are wrong. She's going to stick by those guns. And there's something to be said for an artist um, sticking to their ideals or their beliefs and not allowing the outside persuasions to change what they feel. And again, rather right or wrong or indifferent, we are obviously afforded the First Amendment freedom of speech and be able to say what we feel and so on and so forth. So that it's not to say that anybody is right or wrong, but having the gumption to want to say it and stick to it and stay 10 toes down, as the kids say. I think there's something to be said for that. And when you have a story like the one that unfortunately didn't see the light of day with Pixar, um, and that particular film, I think that it's important that they stuck to their guns. And unfortunately, it seemed like it might have cost them the ability to put that movie out, which is less than desirable outcome, obviously. But I can appreciate them not wanting to change the essence of the story or change the characters or change the sex of the characters or whatever the case may be, and sticking to the guns and saying we just won't, maybe won't put it out or we won't release it because this is not the story that we want to tell. This is not the story that we've been trying to tell. And if you're not going to allow us to tell the story that we want to tell, then we're just not going to tell the story. And then hopefully, years down the line, maybe somebody else will allow them to pick it back up and try it again. So it's unfortunate, it really is, because I do believe that there's a place for that. And as a girl dad, not just a girl dad, but as having a girl, it's important that they do have representation and that they have positive representation and not just the side character to a male dominated film or a male dominated industry, and really have an opportunity to shine and flourish and be able to experience everything that their male counterparts are able to experience. So it is unfortunate. It really is. And I'm hoping that at some point in the future, even if it's not, in the near future, but something that does get to see the light, because it does sound like a great concept. My one of my favorite games over from last year was Split Fiction, and that was a female driven story. And it was an amazing story, one that both my daughter and I really, really, truly enjoyed. And I would love to see something like that put on film. So hopefully, people will realize that there's a good story is a good story, regardless of who the lead is.
Well, there you have it. If we ran Disney, if you have thoughts on that, please let us know below. But yes, if we ran Disney, those are the things we'd add and say and do. Please let us know. Pop Culture Cosmos. If you do something differently, and if you do something that would be beneficial to everyone that could enjoy Disney, so let me know below, or just let me know in email, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, topic number 2 on our discussion of pop culture topics includes the console industry, because we love video games here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is TJ Johnson along with me, Gerald Glassford. Appreciate you watching and listening. And in doing so, my friend, the console industry is going through some tough times. Some tough times indeed. Rising prices. Oh, no, look. Oh, Sony's raising the price again. Yeah, there you
Just
go.
happened. Damn.
Yes, there you go. Seems like they're doing it. Turn around. They're doing it again. Yes, they recently did it again. Nintendo reporting that their holiday sales weren't as favorable as they would have liked for Switch 2. Who could have predicted that one?
Who could have predicted that? Oh, maybe we could have.
Yes, maybe we did. But they're in a little bit of trouble, and there's rumors that they will be raising their price. Xbox, with Asha Sharma, I think, as the new CEO, she is doing a lot of cool things around the edges right now, around the fringes. Then obviously with the new Xbox coming possibly as early as late next year, probably not, with the way it's still infrastructure that's still out there. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's all on the fringes right now. It's mostly software based right now as far as for this year for them is concerned, because they've got of any company, they've got really a lot of great releases, not named GTA 6. They probably have the best lineup that's out there. GTA 6, what happens with them? They just had to, like TJ reminded me, they had a third party leak as far as it's concerned. So, things are not great right now at Rockstar. And we don't even know 100% if GTA 6 is going to be on this year's docket fully for sure or not. Oh, no, our fantasy.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. Yes, because our fantasy hopes are on that. So writing on that. But with that said, my friend, and also the Steam Machine. The Steam Machine has been delayed. We don't know to when. Uncertain of a timeline on that. And again, the RAM prices, because of AI and the influence from AI and AI companies, hiking up the rates of RAM, making it harder to go ahead and negotiate for RAM for new products and new consoles. So with that, my friend, what is the future of the console industry? What is the health of the console industry, and how much longer can it last?
All good questions, G. All really good questions. I think the health of the console industry is TBD. That's to be determined. I don't think that there is so many other pressing things that are on our attention and on our radar. And the truth of the matter is, like we were talking about, essentially Disney kind of pushing out some of their consumers due to the rising costs. I think the video game industry in and of itself is starting to price us out as well, as far as the consumers are concerned. The fact that the PlayStation is the first console I've ever owned that is appreciated in value is insane to me, and the fact that it's continuing to appreciate in value is insane to me. This most recent price hike is just egregious, but I think that these price hikes are being done strategically due to the fact that the prices for the new consoles are going to be outrageous. And with the console price hikes being what they are, it's going to make those prices look timid as opposed to what the prices are that we're paying currently. So I think they're doing it strategically, and I don't like that strategy because, again, you're pricing out your consumer. And it truly is becoming a luxury to be a console gamer as opposed to a pastime. You almost have to be able to really afford the ability to do so. And that's unfortunate because I think for a lot of people, especially nowadays, it's a great way, excuse me, to find relief, and to find a bit of escapism from things that you have to deal with on a regular day-to-day basis. So that's the unfortunate truth to it. What I also will say is that there are going to be people that find a way. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. And if that means you save and you save and you save and you save, then that's what you ultimately do. So it's going to be really hard to tell. It's going to be really hard to tell. I think you're going to look at softer hardware sales moving forward. I think the hardware sales are just not going to be where they used to be. Um, and an understanding that you're going to have to really put forth greater effort as far as making sure your software is really up to snuff, and
Mhm.
that the hardware you put out is something that can last and really stand the test of time in regards to being a worthy purchase. Um, Especially with the Steam machine potentially being coming out there, and obviously Microsoft looking to kind of make a hybrid Xbox PC console as well. People are really starting to lean back into PC gaming. I've had multiple friends that I've talked to on a relatively consistent basis say that they're looking at diving back into the world of PC, even if it means going so far as to getting a Steam account and maybe even getting a Steam Deck to kind of give themselves a soft launch into working on PCs and then ultimately getting a PC later on down the line. They're definitely looking at getting out of the console market because they're just being priced out, and I don't blame them. I think the only thing that the console has going for it is being a dedicated place to play games. But other than that, um, if you can get that same usability out of your PC and then be able to turn around and do work on your PC or do other things on there, I can completely understand how people may not think that it's worth it. I enjoy being able to have a console that I can put a game into and it just works. I don't have to worry about downloading additional drivers or making sure that this digital effects card or this VFX card is compatible with this software and so on and so forth. I can just put the game into the console and the game runs. So there's accessibility and then there's the ease of use in that. However, we have to decide if that luxury is worth the cost of admission, the price of admission. And sometimes it's not.
I can just say, like right now, it is. I don't want to say on life support, but it's heading in that direction, my friend. As far as the console industry, with first of all the price of entry, the cost of entry to modern gaming, to current console gaming being higher. Obviously, that's a barrier in and of itself. The fact
Yeah.
that you can now play free to play games and things of that nature on other devices, that has another thing that's weighed into it. PC gaming is obviously something that a lot of people are now doing as well. So
Mhm.
console gaming, traditional console gaming, especially by a Gen Z or a younger audience, is seen as something your dad does, your mom does, your grandparents do. So it's something that the perception is there that
Yep.
it's something that because of the cost relationship has almost priced itself out of the marketplace. It's going to be hard to get that back and to be nothing more than a niche or a hobby for a lot of people. I know GTA 6 will blow up for and be the talk of the entertainment industry for a month. But what happens then? What happens then? What happens when Christmas time, people who still want to buy GTA 6 are still staring at $100 price point, maybe for entry for that, because that's been heavily rumored on that. So, again,
Yeah.
I have my concerns for the console industry, but a lot will be talked about in the weeks and months to come, especially when GTA 6 comes out. But right now, spending $900 on a PlayStation 5 Pro makes no sense. Spending $600 on an entry level PlayStation 5 makes no sense to me. And again, with the competitor, possibly Nintendo, going even higher, and Xbox made irrelevant by themselves, their own actions, and their
Yeah.
indifference to being shut out by retailers. Their own indifference in Xbox, as far as in the past year, as far as not them not caring at all, because this is an Xbox. Well, obviously this is an Xbox, but yeah, it's not going to be this is at a retail store as an Xbox because it ain't there. So
Yeah.
with that, like your employer stopped
Hmm.
carrying them. So
Yeah.
that in itself tells you that we're in a very precarious place. I didn't say it couldn't be saved, and I'm not going to say it couldn't be saved, because with the
Yeah.
right mix, with the right console, with the right presentation, anything is possible, and the right price point,
There it
anything
is.
is
There it
possible,
is.
anything is possible. But right now it's in very shaky ground, and I feel like the mafioso or the hitman is sneaking into the hospital room and about ready to give that syringe into the IV, causing everything to go wrong, my friend.
Not Agent 47. No way.
Mhm.
I 100%, I don't disagree with that. I think I'm not as bleak as that. But I can understand where you're coming from in that regard. I really do think that it's gonna need to be seen what this next generation does. And I think that's gonna be the tell. I think it's gonna be extremely important that you have to be able to demonstrate the value. And if they can't show off the value of this purchase, then that's really going to be the death knell. People don't have a problem spending if they feel like they're spending and getting true value for what they're spending. Xbox Game Pass, the ultimate version, was a great deal until you realize that you weren't getting the true value out of it. I wasn't getting 900 games worth of value out of the ultimate Game Pass. I wasn't, and it just didn't make sense to maintain my ultimate membership at that ultimate price point when I was really only doing maybe premium or maybe even essential worth of gaming on the Xbox at that particular time. So if their value is there and if they can truly demonstrate the value, then people are still going to buy the product. But that's the big key, is being able to demonstrate the value, being able to say, okay, you're going to get your money's worth out of this for X, Y, and Z. And here's why, here's why, here's why. Give me a console that I can upgrade. Give me a console where I can possibly almost make it more like a PC. So I think Xbox is in a very unique position to be able to fulfill that particular niche. I want a console that still gives me the console experience. Maybe I want to be able to upgrade it like a PC. Maybe I want to be able to add more RAM. Maybe I want to be able to upgrade this or upgrade certain aspects within reason, obviously. Um, but the bottom line is that they have to show value. They have to show value in today's world where our dollars need to stretch further than they ever have before. Um, it really is going to be imperative for us to see the value in it, and especially if we're going to spend our hard-earned dollar on it. We have to make sure we're getting a return on that investment in some way, shape, or form. And if the value is not there, that's going to be the real problem. So I don't think the gaming industry is as bad off. Um, however, they have to make sure. I can't stress this enough. We have to make sure that we are being consumer focused and ensuring that the consumer is going to get the best bang for their buck. And I mean that throughout everything, throughout the Disney conversation, throughout even the WWE conversation that we're going to have, throughout the gaming conversation. It's got to be consumer focused. It's got to be consumer friendly. And you can't continue to keep pricing out the average consumer from being able to enjoy your product because everybody's starting to do it now. And now nobody's going to be able to enjoy this stuff. And if you continue to price out people, you're not going to make sales. If you don't make sales, you're going to close studios. It's a domino effect. So at the end of the day, how about we just focus on taking care of the consumer and then everything else falls into place? But what do I know, right? I just game and watch movies and TV shows. So what do I know?
What do we know, indeed? But I think we know a lot because we've been following and being a part of the console industry for decades now.
Yeah.
So I think that we have every right to go ahead and comment on what's going on right there, and definitely looking forward to seeing the changes that are made. Definitely looking forward to seeing a possible comeback. I'm not going to say it's 100%, but they're going to give it one more go. It looks like Asha
Yeah.
Sharma, the CEO of Xbox, has done some things that have pleased a lot of audiences and a lot of gamers out there, hardcore Xbox gamers. Can that parlay itself into something with this next Xbox? We'll have to wait and see. But a lot of goodwill goes a long way in the gaming industry, and that is something indeed. But before we head on out, my friend, if you have thoughts out there on the console gaming industry and where you think its lifeblood is right now, do you think it has a lot of life, or are you checking for a pulse when it comes to the console industry? Let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com or in the comments below. But before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about WrestleMania because I heard you're a wrestling fan. Oh, wait, I heard on this show that you're a wrestling fan and WWE. I told you before we
Yes.
went on the air that I sucked up. I bit the bullet. And because my daughter came to me and said she really wanted to go for night one, she didn't really care about night two a whole much, but night one she wanted to go ahead and see because she's a big Liv Morgan fan, and well, found the right discount, and it wasn't through Pat McAfee, the world's worst way to go ahead and tell people about a discount for your product. Absolutely, just I've seen many people talk out there. I've seen many YouTubers and content makers talk about this lead up in this build, and no one is happy
Yeah.
about it. And
Yeah.
when they talk about the worst build ever for WrestleMania, I mean, I took a look at some of the cards from the past, and some of the cards from the past have been really bad, really bad. But they had that, at least that marquee main event that got people going. I've been to one of the worst. One of the two I attended was one of the worst at Caesar's Palace in the parking lot or wherever it was, where they made the makeshift stadium. I was there, and that was one of the worst WrestleManias. I don't remember too much of it because I was getting heat stroke and sunburn because I was like all the way in the back. But and most of these WrestleManias have the type of build that really gets fans interested. And
Mhm.
then there's this year where uneven booking, just the way that things mapped out, it just does not look like a lot of people are really interested and are being coerced and almost forced to come to WrestleMania because okay, I got to go ahead. My yearly bucket list, WrestleMania, check that on, and I have to go. I have to go. I have to see. It just does not seem people are excited for what's to come here in just a matter of days. So, with that, my friend, I ask you this. With the lineup that's out there as far as is concerned, and the lineup, I'm going to go ahead and run off here in a second, but I want to hear your initial thoughts on this. Is this the worst build to a WrestleMania ever?
Ooh, is this the worst build? Yeesh, we've had some stinkers out there.
The build, not
Well,
to talk about the matches themselves
I
and
know,
what
I know,
ultimately
I
happen,
know.
because when you
I
usually
get it.
think it's going to be a turd, it actually ends up being okay, or and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I thought WrestleMania 22 was going to be a turd, and it was a turd. WrestleMania 21, I thought was going to be a turd, and it was a turd. So there's a period in time where I was pretty accurate on those. Um, is this the worst build? I don't know if it's the worst, but it's really close. And the problem with that is that, again, we're at a time where costs are at an all-time high for everything. And this is probably the first time, and this is the first time that I'm actually admitting something like this, but I may not watch WrestleMania the night of. Um, I'm sure this is going to be, and I don't even know what the cost is going to be on ESPN to have this. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure on purpose because I haven't looked because I just didn't want to have sticker
There
shock. I
might
didn't
be
even want to.
other ways you can get it.
Absolutely, but we're not here to discuss those right now.
Okay.
But but the point of the fact of the matter is, I already know that I'm going to be priced out of WrestleMania. So if I don't have a good build up to WrestleMania, then I'm not going to put forth the effort to find a way to enjoy this PLE event. I'm not gonna put forth that because I'm already not interested in the card, so to speak. Um, Obviously, I'll look at I'll probably be interested in the results, and you know, as a semi obsessive WWE fan, and I only say semi because I can't afford to really be an obsessive WWE fan anymore. But as someone who spends the money every year on WWE 2K, whatever, 22, 25, whatever, 26, and who buys the big version of it, not just the standard game version, but the big freaking $150 version of it. I'm a fan, and I love wrestling. I love what wrestling does. I love the theater of it. I've loved everything about wrestling. Ever since watching WrestleMania 17, which absolutely changed my life. Changed my life. It hurts to kind of see this is where we are. I mean, if we just use the Pat McAfee build up, if you will, call it a build up, that was easily the most egregious betrayal of the average consumer and their expectations that I think I've ever witnessed. I mean, you could have had anybody on the other end of that phone call. You could have put Paul Heyman at the end of that phone call to make Randy Orton a Paul Heyman guy. You could have done The Rock. You could have done John Cena. You could have done anybody anybody would have worked there. You know what would have blown the roof off if you'd have brought a McMahon back, if you'd have brought a Shane, or if you'd have let that been Stephanie and let that be a Stephanie versus Hunter type deal where now she's in the ear of Randy Orton and Hunter is obviously backing Cody
I'm
and is
just
all about.
I can't be with you on that. I just that those no more. I'm just done. I'm just done with the sorry. Stephanie came on the other day, slapped Cody, and did nothing. I'm sorry. It meant
Yeah, but
nothing.
that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
It wasn't gonna go anywhere. I guess the bottom line is anything would have been better than Pat McAfee. Um, and it was such an egregious betrayal of our expectations and our hopes, um, that I don't have a lot of faith in what they can put out anymore. I'm really hoping for a WrestleMania moment and a surprise, and when wrestling is as popular as it is now, it's really hard to understand. Like just a few years ago, we were riding high. Triple H was just getting going, and everything was going on with Vince McMahon. He had to step aside and allow Triple H to really take off and take over. Things were really lifting up, but then the TKO group got involved, and I hate to try to pinpoint it to just one specific thing, but I think it just got too big. It got to be too popular. Now there's too many hands in the cookie jar. There's too many people that you have to appease. There's too many shareholders that you have to make sure that they have their input and they have their way. And there's too many. It's too much. And I think that again, when you try to appease everybody, you appease no one. And it's really unfortunate that a lot of companies are going that direction. And again, we're talking about WWE, but we can very easily substitute that for gaming. We can substitute that for Disney. You can substitute that for any other big name that's trying to maintain the status quo. And it's unfortunate, but it really is what it boils down to. So to answer your question, I do think this is one of the worst. I do not know if I would consider it the worst, but it is definitely one of the worst build-ups to WrestleMania that I've ever experienced. There's just zero hype. Um, I'm already sick of listening to CM Punk talk about whatever CM Punk wants to talk about. I'm sick of hearing that. Um, I'm not sick of Cody Rhodes, because I truly love his story, and the comeback story that he's been on, and I truly love that. I don't know how much longer his goodwill is going to last. And everybody still loves Cody, but everybody loves you until they don't, and you either die a hero or you live long to see yourself become the villain. And I feel like that could be sooner than later if they don't find out a way to keep him fresh. And yeah, this buildup has just not been it's not been what I've hoped for. I was extremely excited for the Jade, Jade and Rhea Ripley match, and now I'm really not anymore. I don't know. Everything's just kind of gone very, very blah, and that's disheartening because being such a fan for so long and remembering the heights of WrestleMania 17, the heights of WrestleMania 18, and uh, it's tough. It's really, really tough. It's tough. So, what is it? The worst? I don't know if it's the worst, but it's definitely, definitely in the top five for worst. That's for sure.
You want to know my thoughts? As
What
someone
are your
who's been
thoughts,
viewing
Jim?
the industry since the late 70s, early 80s,
Go for
this is the worst.
it.
It is clean cut. It is clear cut. It is the absolute worst, especially with the levels of way you could promote things. It
Yeah,
is absolutely
yeah,
the worst because back in the 80s, you just had, or in the 80s and early 90s, you just had a weekly syndicated show and then someone coming to you in a control room to tell you and hype up as far as everything is concerned. A couple interview angles from a snake pit or a brother love show or something like that to be able to, you had very few opportunities to go ahead and hype up shows and hype up matches for WrestleMania, or through things done at Saturday Night's Main Event. Here, we now have access to a whole myriad of ways to promote things, and they've blown it every single time. This has absolutely got to be on a catastrophic level. If I'll just say that, as far as it's concerned, and having Pat McAfee involved has just made everything worse. And again, everything that they've done leading up to this has been a wrong move, and I'll leave it at that.
yeah. I don't disagree with parts of that, but I think what makes those WrestleMania build-ups of yesteryear special is because they didn't have so many ways to promote. You've got one
Well, that's
opportunity
exactly what
to,
I was trying to get across. Yeah,
yeah. But I think they're just they're stretched too thin. There's too many shows. There's too many avenues. The way we consume media now is so different, that we want instant access and instant information all the time, 24/7. The news doesn't really stop, and it there's no opportunity for buildup. We're just continuously flooded and inundated with information and
and they just
inundated
need to
with,
make it easy and streamlined. ESPN
yeah,
or Netflix, just put it on there, the whole thing on there, not the first hour, not anything convoluted. Just put the whole thing
yeah,
on ESPN or Netflix and
yeah.
make it available to the millions and
It's gotten too messy. It's messy, and there's too much involved.
All right, so we're
Um,
going to go rapid fire, my friend. Really
all
rapid
right,
fire
rapid
on this because
fire.
we have just about under 9 minutes left. Just want to
Okay.
go ahead and get right down to it. The Usos and LA Knight versus the Vision and I Show Speed. Who do you have?
The Usos and LA Knight.
And so criminally underused LA Knight. I think that's his new name. Criminally underutilized LA Knight.
Nope, I
Yeah.
disagree. I disagree. I think
I
he. I think he. I think he was hot for a second, but his
well,
his his gimmick got
he was
got
made
stale.
unhot. I will say
Yes.
he was booked
His
unhot. And I'll leave it at that.
yes. All right.
Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre. This could be the match of the show, match of the weekend. Your thoughts on Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre?
Huge Jacob Fatu fan, and Drew McIntyre is criminally underrated, to use your terminology. I definitely agree that this could be one that steals the show. I'm a Jacob Fatu fan, so I'm going with Jacob Fatu.
I'm
Yarrani.
going with Jacob Fatu because he needs it more than McIntyre. McIntyre
Yeah,
has been great this year. Great
yes.
this year. One of the few bright spots, but yes, I agree. Jacob Fatu needs this a little bit more. Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan.
I love Liv. I love Liv. I love everything she's been doing. She's been having so much fun being the Harley Quinn esque of the WWE right now. I'm going to Liv.
If I say anything other than Liv Morgan, my daughter will
Disown you.
she'll wrap
So
me
yeah.
she'll wrap a chair around my head. I'll just leave it at that. So Liv Morgan indeed. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch.
I'm going Becky. I don't dislike AJ. I love AJ, but I love Becky. So
I'm indifferent to AJ. I've told you this before because that
yeah,
era of divas just absolutely was not a good product. And I think her Bella's coming back. It just again that's a bigger story I'll talk about for another day as far as the way they bracketed out their age groups right now. It seems like there's
yeah,
a gap of the women that actually put back wrestling in WWE on the map are being ignored right now or being de-evaluated this time. So I'm just going to say Becky Lynch, who's one of the few that is being from that era. Gunther versus Seth Rollins in the feud we didn't know we needed.
Yeah, and I still don't know that I need it.
Well, they're just there because they need a spot on WrestleMania.
I'm going Gunther. He's been on a roll.
I'm going on Gunther, even though both needed to win. Both need to win. Seth Rollins needs to get his vengeance on the Vision, and Gunther needs to still stay strong. But this is a matchup that was not needed, and it's only going to serve to hurt both these guys. But I'm going to go ahead and say Gunther on that one. Bailey and Lyra Valkyria, the Bella Twins, the Irresistible Forces, Alexis Bliss, and Charlotte Flair. As of this recording, we do not know the status of the Bella Twins. If not, the as far as Kairi Sane and Asuka, they will be put in there instead. But right now, it looks more like the Bella Twins at this point. But who do you have as far as it's there?
Indifferent, brother. I'm not a fan. I mean, I like Asuka, so if she does get the opportunity to do so, I would go with her.
Same here.
Yeah, but I don't particularly care.
I would say if they're not in it, Alexis Bliss and Charlotte Flair, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton.
Randy Orton all the way, man. I hear voices in my head.
It's because those voices I have never wanted in a main event more, in a WrestleMania match, in a match ever in my entire lifetime have I wanted anyone to win more than Cody Rhodes because of whether.
So mind you,
I'd
say Randy Orton, not Pat McAfee.
But the thing is, if Cody Rhodes wins, Pat McAfee is gone forever out of my life. Yeah. So yes, please. Cody Rhodes win. I love any Cactus Jack match, any Vader match, any of my any of my favorites. Abdullah Butcher. Nobody have I wanted to win more than Cody Rhodes because I want Pat McAfee off my screen. Gone. Sorry, I'm sorry, my friend. Sorry with your love for Randy Orton, but
I do. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Sorry. Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar. Oba needs this. Brock doesn't. This might last only 4 or 5 minutes because Brock Lesnar might blow up.
The problem is he's looked weak this build up for it. So my concern is usually when they look weak, they're not going to lose. So
yes. So my hope is Oba Femi as a future dominant player in this industry. Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, Rusev, Penta, JD McConnell. For the intercontinental title ladder match.
I'm going with Penta just because I really dig his style, and I'm hoping that they find a way to really find a better way to utilize him. So if I have my choice, it's going to be Penta.
I'm going to say Javon Evans. He is someone really thought well of behind the scenes, and if he lights it up, if he does not make a mistake, he might get the during it. As far
he's
as
making a lot of mistakes, man.
Well, I'm hoping he won't, and he could really light things up on stage. If he does well, I think he could get it. Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill.
Oh, that's such a tough one, man. Oh, Rhea Ripley.
I'm gonna say Rhea Ripley by out of necessity because Jade Cargill looks the part, but it's just something missing there with her, and plus her in the ring is just still not there yet. It's still not there, and that's the problem I have. And I feel bad because Jade Cargill has that aura, and
she has the look. She has the look, man. She's got everything, but she just doesn't have the presence.
And nor the verbal skills as well that really gets over to the fans as a heel. Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams.
Oh, Trick Williams all day. Trick Williams. I love Trick Williams.
I love whoop that trick. Absolutely.
Whoop that trick, man.
Yes. Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio.
The Demon, Finn Balor. Oh, I'm so excited that he's back.
Okay, I'm gonna say Dominic just because I think Dominic is still one of the best heel gimmicks in the business right now. But he's got the AAA Well, yeah, actually, this is just a match, so it's not the Intercontinental title. So, yeah, I wish they would have made this a AAA match, but as far as a title match, but yeah, it's. I would say, since it's not, I'll go with you on Finn Balor on that. And then before we get to in case Io Sky gets a match against Asuka, in case we'll know that the Bella Twins go in their match, Io Sky versus Asuka.
If I had my pick, it'd be Asuka. I love Asuka.
Asuka, because she's never won a WrestleMania match, and I'll go with
I love Asuka.
You and I both. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk before we head on out.
Roman Reigns. I'm so sick of CM Punk. I'm so sick of CM Punk.
Can I just say neither? No, I got to pick someone.
It's a tie. They can both lose. I'm okay with that.
Roman Reigns still is one of the worst WrestleMania main event matches where he actually pinned both Bryan Danielson and Edge and had dragged him over. That was still left bad taste in my mouth forever. But yeah, I think Roman Reigns. Indeed. But my friend, it's been a great one. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Live long and prosper.
There you go. Oh, we got to get to Star Trek. Oh, yeah. Star Trek is another day. Indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Indeed. Or Vader time. There you go. Oh, actually, Vader time is this way. Vader time.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
But, prosper.
So for TJ Johnson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.